Well, to pay for COVID-19 support and economic relief measures, Singapore is expected to draw up to $42.9 billion from fiscal year 2020 to 2022 from its past reserves. This includes an additional $6 billion to help the public healthcare sector fight against COVID-19. Still, the total is less than the initial draw of $52 billion that President Halimah Yacob originally agreed to in 2020. Brendan Tanuto with more.
A stronger economic rebound, lower spending by the ministries due to projects delayed by COVID-19, and higher revenues from personal income tax collection and stamp duties. These are among the reasons why Singapore has drawn a lower amount from the reserves. Still, Finance Minister Lawrence Wong says the country's spending needs will continue to grow beyond the pandemic to tackle structural shifts and deliver on long-term priorities. For instance, he notes that expenditures are expected to increase to over 20% of GDP by 2030, with most of the increased spending going to healthcare.
On the revenue side, we will not have enough to cover the additional spending needs. The stream of income from NIRC should keep pace with economic growth over time, in spite of a more challenging global investment environment. But our sharply slowing labour force growth and hence slower GDP growth compared to the last decade will constrain our tax revenues.
As such, Mr. Wong says Singapore must continue to manage its spending.
Since FY 2017, we have implemented a 2% cut in the budgets of all ministries and organs of state to ensure we spend judiciously and achieve good value for money outcomes. From FY 2023, I will apply a further 1% cut to the budgets of ministries and organs of state. Funds from this adjustment will be channeled towards new priorities.
For this financial year, the government's operating revenue is projected at $81.7 billion. An estimated $21.6 billion comes from the net investment returns contribution. There's also a deduction of $0.1 billion from interest costs and loan expenses. The capitalization of nationally significant infrastructure adds $2.4 billion. This takes the grand total to about $105.6 billion. Overall spending is expected to be around $102.4 billion. Special transfers add on another $6.2 billion. These are for things such as GST vouchers and the Progressive Wage Credit Scheme. All in, the overall deficit for 2022 is expected to come in at around $3 billion, or 0.5% of GDP. This is smaller than the overall deficit of $5 billion, or close to 1% of GDP last fiscal year.